Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And one of the key issues, actually probably the primary issue as we go to 2050 and 9 billion souls on the planet is what are we going to do about water? Because there's so much drought going on around the globe, the western part of the United States, Australia, China, India, Brazil, many other places. And then as we add all these new people, 2 billion worth to the planet, how are we going to be able to provide water when now almost 2 billion people are without adequate water resources? I have a gentleman sitting right beside me that's been working on this idea and has been doing a lot of work with the politics as well as the policy and also practical applications. This is J. Scott Shipe, who is the Government Relations Chair, Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association. And Scott, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thanks, Sam.
Glad to have you with us. And you've been doing a mighty work for many years, so congratulations on all the success that you've been doing, and also you've been very active with the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting Event, and so a lot of good things you're doing. And thank you for being out.
Thanks.
Looking at what is the Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association?
The Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association, the parent organization, AWWA, was formed in 1881.
That's a very old organization then.
It is. It's the oldest professional water organization in North America. It broke off the New England. It was out of the Boston area. But then the evolution occurred, just scientists, local water managers that got to meet annually to come up with best practices on treating water and filtering water, and at the beginning, of course. And but our region is Delaware, Maryland, and the District of Columbia. We have 1,000 members here in the Chesapeake region.
That's a big number of people that are actually focused on water and looking at all the issues, both water and wastewater. And this is something that's really needed around the world because water is life, as you know, and this is something that you're very much involved in. What's some of the ways that your profession, meaning water and the wastewater, actually celebrates water, educates the public about what's going on, and throughout the year just sensitizes the people as far as water and to really think about it, not just take it for granted?
Yeah, we do proclamations with governors throughout the country, local mayors, local jurisdictional county executives across the country. Of course, we invite the community to get involved by touring their local water treatment plant. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing that I think everybody needs to go out and see where and how your water is made in your local community.
I think that's very important, and as you know, within Washington, D.C., we have the largest in the world with the Blue Plains, which is D.C. Water, and it's just amazing the complexity of that and how they're going from just processing stormwater and taking care of all the wastewater to now where they're producing, or soon will be producing, a third of all their own energy using the sludge, and it's just amazing the kind of work they're doing out there. Over the past century, the water works have really expanded to meet the population demands, and even though there's been changes between the old industrialized cities and now new suburbs, and many of the small rural areas are starting to rejuvenate themselves, how has focusing on water and water works really added to the prosperity, the health, the longevity, and safety of the people and the public?
Well, the biggest thing is that, like I said, the water utilities basically contribute to carry the most embedded value of the water equation. They move water, they clean water, they deliver it, and then the real story of water is the value of it's inside the fence of our public and private water utilities. They, like I said, they deliver high quality, living, giving water despite the mirage of challenges of utilities face every single day.
Yeah, this is something that I think most people, again, going back to this take for granted that we just turn on the tap.
Right.
In most cases, the water comes out of that.
Right.
But around the world, you have over 1 billion people that can't do that. And then wastewater is even more dire because almost 3.5 billion, half the world's population, doesn't have access to adequate wastewater treatment. So that's something that's a real issue that needs to be taken care of. What's the current status as far as the infrastructure for water, wastewater around the United States and maybe specifically, but also North America, Mexico, Canada generally?
The report card that the American Society of Civil Engineers has given the water and sewer infrastructure in America is a D minus.
D minus?
D minus.
Oh my goodness. D minus. That's
that's
underwhelming.
Right, east of the Mississippi River, the average utility age is, most of the critical infrastructure is over 80 years old.
My goodness, and most of these facilities really built with what, a 30-year lifetime line or something like that, or maybe 50?
Yeah, it's 40-year life cycle. That's correct, yes, sir. Yeah.
And so the whole thing is so what needs to be done? I mean, why is this the condition? I mean, we have very old cities, and I know that in some of the cities they're still using some of the old water pipe that was in at that time, and of course we're using pipe that were, as you said, maybe put in 80 years ago. So what do we need to be doing as far as citizens of, local governments, because that's where most of this water comes from at the local level. So what do they need to be thinking about, and how do they let people know that they really care about their water?
Well, it's complex. I mean, that's the issue, getting the message out, because really to replace at the level that we need to get to in this period of time is very difficult to keep up with that rate because of the amount of the rate structures on how they have to be increased over the.
Now, is there any particular number that they're saying that needs to be invested, say, over the next 5-10 years, as far as the infrastructure itself is concerned? I would assume it's probably in the trillions of dollars.
It's way over like $600 billion, but there's been numerous reports that reported all the way up over $1 trillion. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. My gosh, that's just incredible. So when you're looking at the local communities, and of course people are always against having an increase in their taxes. They don't want to pay more for critical infrastructure. But yet at the same time, we need to do this if we're going to keep the quality of life and the ease and comfort and more than that, the safety that we have as a public. So how do the people need to think about their water?
Well, they basically need to, I think the people have taken water for granted in the last 20 years. I think that's the biggest issue. I think that's the issue that's occurred, and we just take water for granted, period. And it's just people expect to open the tap and have the water, and I think that's we have really a good critical. We do a good job in that aspect, but I don't think they understand.
Meaning the public really doesn't understand.
Right, that's correct.
The complexity of what it takes.
I think after 9/11, with the security of all of our infrastructure in America, I think that hurt a lot because public education at that time was a high level, and we were taking people out to our water plants, and now everything is secured, and we have cameras on the gates, and it's difficult to get the folks out there to to get a tour, you got to go through.
So it's a real disconnect then, what you're saying, Scott, disconnect
yes.
between the people actually providing the water and doing the transmission, because transmission is, it's almost 80% of that, because there's so much loss now, but with these old pipes and infiltration of groundwater, et cetera. So it really is a safety issue that we have to address and to be able to take care of. And just like over in Charleston, West Virginia, when they had those tanks that, leaking the fuel oil and chemicals. So what is happening as far as the certification, emphasis of the governing bodies to make sure that we don't have those kinds of leakages to get in, like at Charleston, West Virginia, or many other places around the United States?
Well, of course, it was Senator Unger in Berkeley County, West Virginia, actually. He wrote the bill, and the Governor Earl Ray Tomblin in West Virginia passed a law April 1st, 2014. And there's 47,000 they discovered in the initial investigation. There was 47,000 tanks in West Virginia, and so DEP's task was to go out and.
That's environmental protection.
That's correct, for the state of West Virginia.
Right.
And they went into it and they were inspecting every tank, and it was so at the same time. U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, basically got with Barbara Boxer, and they got a bill going in committee to do it on a national level, and it died in committee.
Oh, I'll be darned. Well, we're almost running out of time. How much water are people drinking now that's coming out of rivers, lakes, streams? Surface water like that, and then be quick, because I got one last question.
Yes, sir. It's 60% is from surface water, and then 40% is from groundwater in America.
And so we really need to be cautious of all the surface water and to protect that. Looking at the American Water Works Association, what do you see the growth, development, and importance of that organization, say, over the next 5, 10, 15 years?
I think the evolution on the drinking water side is we're going to partner more with water reuse with the wastewater associations that are out there, and I just think that's the evolution that's going to occur. Water reuse is, of course, west of the Mississippi River is really huge.
Yeah, and we're going to have to do it. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, J. Scott Shipe is sitting right beside me, the Government Relations Chair for the Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association, and a topic that we all need to be more cognizant of and be supportive as we create the Emerald Planet. Good job.
To make nuclear weapons are stored in more than 40 countries.
Sometimes protected by just a chain link fence.
Yet not enough is being done to lock down these materials
Before terrorists steal them. Why did we learn all this?
My mother,
My son,
my sister-in-law.
were all murdered September 11th.
Help protect America.
Together we can.
Please join us.
The stem cell issue is being debated throughout the country. Truth is, most everyone has an opinion, even if they don't know the facts.
Let's stop arguing and start really understanding the potential of stem cell research.
For us and for millions of Americans living with disabilities, get the facts.
Call 1-877-842-3442 for free information from the Stem Cell Research Foundation. That's 1-877-842-3442.
Following the tragic events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
And justice.
For all.
in America, there's either room for everyone or it's not America. Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Planning a home renovation? Put this at the top of your to-do list. Because after 10 years, none of you are protected against tetanus and another potentially fatal disease, diphtheria. A minor injury, such as a cut or a scrape, can put you at risk for a tetanus infection. And while safety gear offers some protection, an up-to-date vaccination called the TD Booster is the best insurance against tetanus. So get the TD Booster. If it's been 10, do it again.
I'm the President, Executive Director for Emerald Planet in Washington, D.C., and we come to you on a weekly basis looking at 144 countries and 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we go through the 21st century. And of course, the real essence that we have to look at and to be concerned about is water. And this is something that water is life, and it's something that we need to be aware of and to handle in a very judicious way. But at the same time, we need to be making the proper investments as far as taking care of good, clean, drinkable water. And we have a gentleman who has a world-class operation out in Emporia, Kansas, as part of the city of Emporia. And this is Philip Cooper, and he's the water treatment plant supervisor. Also, he's a gold medal winner in the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, so we have to throw that in. And he's going to be coming in by Skype. And then sitting right beside me is J. Scott Shipe, who is a Government Relations Chair at the Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association. Phil, can you hear me? Phil, can you hear me? Okay, Phil is coming in by Skype. Phil?
I'm not able to hear you.
Okay, you're coming through to me now loud and clear. Let's see if we can, am I coming into you now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I just was bragging about you, about your world-class facility there in Emporia, Kansas, and the fact you're a gold medal winner in the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting. So we've had all that introduction about you, so you'll be caught up and know that we were saying good things about you no matter what, right?
Thank you.
And then I have Scott Shipe, who you know is sitting right beside me, and he's our special guest to back up in case we lose you. But anyway, Phil, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you both.
Glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about the city of Emporia, your water plant, and why are you considered one of the most critical part of the infrastructure for the city of Emporia?
Well, we have one of the oldest established municipal water plants in the state of Kansas. And so we've been here since 1880. We've made several upgrades since then. As far as the infrastructure, water is the second most important thing to human survival, and it also creates jobs and is very critical in fire protection.
Well, it's fantastic what you're doing, because Scott has been bragging about you to no end ever since he heard you were going to be coming on Emerald Planet TV, about all the good work that you're doing out there. But tell us, what is the source of your water, Phil? And then how do you protect the quality of this source so that citizens continue their faith in the source of their drinking water?
Our water is actually a surface water plant, and we get our water from the Neosho River. It begins in the Flint Hills and travels down into eastern Oklahoma and converges with the Arkansas River. We try to do public announcements about how to keep your, not to pollute your water streams, different things like that. The main thing we're having issues right now with is zebra mussels, and that usually gets transported on boats and people with just dumping their contaminated buckets in the water. So that's the newest issue we've had to deal with. Not only some of the rest of the United States has had to deal with.
Now, how do you actually get the word out to the people not to do that or put various invasive species into the surface water areas surrounding the city of Emporia?
The Kansas Wildlife and Parks does a very good job of educating people. They have brochures. They go to some of the schools and teach some of the young kids at school about the good practices of trying to keep this zebra mussel in control. I actually last week went to the high school and taught 4 sessions dealing with how we can conserve water and keep our water safe as well.
Oh, so you're actually really now becoming a public educator as well as having to manage your facility.
Well, but there's a lot of other people that are doing this besides me. But yeah, and when we do tours up here, we do lots of tours for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, different organizations, and we all try to teach them some things that maybe they didn't think of before.
That's absolutely fantastic. As you know, Scott's sitting right beside me, and he's here as our special guest, and he's going to ask the next question. Scott?
Phil, what is the history of your plant, and how do you continue to invest and modernize the technology and processes of your award-winning water system while conserving the water transmitted to your customers?
Well, again, the latter part is through education. Our governor has this last year started what he called a 50-year water vision of how we can protect our water, and has broke the region up into 14 regions, or the state into 14 regions. And I was nominated for our local area, and so we're going to go forth and this August and present, all the groups are going to present ideas to the governor of what we can do to keep water, available 50 years from now.
I tell you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, as far as the history of Kansas, is not only are we were the one of the first established water plants in the 1880s, we are actually have implemented some new technologies with filter washing and with disinfections.
Well, that's fantastic that you're doing all that, and again, that's why you're able to have award-winning system and stay to the front as far as technologies. What type of disinfectant do you use, and why was this particular product selected for long-term drinking water quality?
We use ozone, and back in '95, we were the first facility in Kansas to use ozone, and we basically did it for disinfection byproducts, which is trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. Ours are right there towards the upper limit. Now that we've switched to ozone, we are actually at the lesser than detectable level. And the only byproduct that ozone creates is bromate. And again, it's at the very lowest detectable level. So we really did it for the disinfection byproducts. But the other thing it does is it does help on taste and odor, especially during the fall of the year when we get a lot of leaves and stuff decaying in the river.
Now, looking at, let's go back, if you don't mind, just a minute, Phil.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about the advanced technology, some of the best practices that you've been putting into your plant. You have a very old facility, but yet you continue to modernize. What are some of those best practices that you could share with our viewing audiences here and abroad that they may want to consider for their own home areas?
Well, one of the things we've done to deal with zebra mussels in order to keep from causing byproduct issues, we've gone with a copper ion generator. And that has seemed to keep them at bay from getting into our facility. And we also had a basin train that was 90 plus years old that we just replaced 5 years ago with a new modern basin with all the new clarifiers and mixtures in it. And also the big thing that always happens is SCADA, trying to keep a closer eye on how your system operates.
Now, looking at the distribution systems, this seems to be one of the issues, and actually I really saw this when I was visiting in the country of Guyana in South America. They have one of the best aquifers on the planet according to all tests, but when it gets to the house, it's highly contaminated because there's so much infiltration from the groundwater. As you know, that country is below sea level. And I know that there are many systems, because of the aging nature of the systems around the United States, is that there's a lot of loss of water and or infiltration. So how do you handle the distribution, and how do you constantly monitor that to make sure that everything that is going through your plant actually gets to the customers and they're getting actually what they're paying for?
Very good question. A couple of years ago, we hired a firm to come in and use listening devices to find leaks. I believe they've only found 2 or 3 leaks at that time, and we're aggressive in getting those fixed. And right now we're in the process of replacing some water lines that are probably 75 to 100 years old right now.
My goodness, it's an ongoing process. Is that right, Phil?
Definitely.
So you never ends. Okay, Scott, you have the next question.
Phil, you entered your municipal water in the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting over years, winning gold in your first competition. Why would you be involved with such an arduous international competition, and what are the benefits from such a competition for your utility and your customers?
Well, like right now with you and a lot of the people at Berkeley Springs, people are starting to hear about us and to know about us, and we were very pleased to enter the contest. It's been a very good experience, and to be able to compete with the best. We just entered another contest here in Kansas back in March, and we won best in Kansas World Water here in Kansas. And we'll be entering another contest in August for the American Water Works Association conference. So we're proud of our water. A lot of citizens are constantly talking about our water, so it's good that other people can know what we do and work hard at it.
Yeah, looking at where you're going in the next 5 to 10 years, that would be my last question, but looking at the outcomes from the International Water Tasting Competition, what's an idea, too, that you're able to pick up through that's really good for your own customers right there in Emporia?
Oh, it's a lot of the different issues. I was at the last the conference I was at there. They were talking about pharmaceuticals and stuff that are now being introduced in some of the bigger cities. So the state has now recently started testing for that. So we'll be able to maybe get ahead of the curve on those type of issues. And as far as 5 to 10 years, hopefully by the beginning of next year, we're going to replace the ozone generator and equipment that's 20 years old because that was the life expectancy of it. So we're going to make a few changes as far as how we do that, but we're going to go back to using ozone because it has definitely helped us improve the quality of water that we can produce. That's fantastic. Philip Cooper is the water treatment plant supervisor, the city of Emporia, Kansas, the water plant there. Right beside me is J. Scott Scheidt, government relations chair of the Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association. And thank you for being with us as we talk about this important topic to create the Emerald Planet.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Here's your uncle.
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Sam's.
Thank you very much.
No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done. D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right, Ed. What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time!
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs. Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound? Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice-yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal Hospital Association.
to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we're looking for those 1,000 best practices, the best practices in the technologies, the services, the products, and the people that are providing the leadership around the globe. And we're talking about the topic of water, and also we're going to be talking about the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, which is the premier event in the world. Berkeley Springs is out in West Virginia in the United States and has great influence as far as the waters and how they're qualified and actually viewed based on the competitions that they have, and many of them winning gold, silver, bronze, and very important as far as this is concerned. We have coming in by telephone Jeannie Moser. She is the founder of the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting. And sitting right beside me is J. Scott Shipe, who is the Government Relations Chair of the Chesapeake section of the American Water Works Association. And Jeannie, you're coming in by phone, and are you with us?
I am.
Glad to have you here. Thank you for being with us, coming all the way in, actually from Berkeley Springs itself. So welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
I'm delighted to be here. I was ready to come by FaceTime, but you guys weren't ready.
Okay, may want to speak right into your telephone there, and so we can hear you clearly. Anyway, tell us a little bit about the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, and why is it so important as far as what's going on among the municipal members and the municipalities, whether public or privately owned around the United States and overseas as well?
Well, people really care about their municipal water. They care what comes out of their tax. And they care in ways that nobody really cares about bottled water. So I guess it's beneficial for public awareness. And as I'm sure you heard from Phil, the prestige of women, when he went back to Victoria and told folks that their water was judged best drinking water in the world, I'm sure he was a hero.
Yeah, and you're talking about Phil Cooper, who is the plant manager there in the city of Emporia, Kansas. And he was in his very first year of competition. He was the gold winner, and that's something that the city itself, and actually even the governor of the state, at least Scott reported that to me, has taken great pride in that. So good work to the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting. You include both the municipal and the bottled waters. You have 4 different categories. Why do you do this, and was this actually unique to include the municipals in the BSIWT?
Well, Sam, when we first started this event in 1991, we actually knew nothing. We were not an industry event. We just wanted to raise people's awareness about water and wanted to connect the concept of good water with Berkeley Springs. So nobody told us we couldn't have the municipal guys, the bottle guys, and the sparkling guys all at the same event. So we did, and everybody seemed to love it.
And looking at that as far as having the municipal and the other bottled waters, I know that you were saying that you have the sparkling and the spring waters all in the same contest and feel like that's very important. What do you think actually the municipals have gained from this? Because actually until I was introduced to your Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, I had no idea that the municipals were actually competing in such international contests, because not only do you have the municipals from around the country, but also from around the world.
Well, I think that probably what the municipals get out of it, at least get out of it by dealing with the bottlers, is they find out that they're probably doing a much harder job in the municipal world than the bottled water guys are. They're public service, so people expect their product to be perfect and reliable and so when they come, and I can only assume they get something out of it, because we've had 238 different municipal waters entered over our 25 years. Lots of them keep coming back, and I think that they, as I said earlier, get public awareness to the job they're doing. They get the prestige when they win, and if they're really smart, they can get a work-related trip to Berkeley Springs.
No, that's fantastic. Are you on speakerphone, Jeannie, or are you actually,
Would you prefer me to?
Yes, no, you're getting so much feedback, so what you need to do is take it off of the speakerphone. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm off speaker.
Now we can actually hear you much better. Okay, thank you very much. You don't want to be on speakerphone. Anyway, going back to, we missed some of that, so let's go back and catch up on that. The municipals being involved, what are some of the benefits that they gain from that, but also being in the same competition with the sparkling and the spring waters and the other bottlers?
Well, I think that they generally, as I said earlier, get public awareness to the fact that they are in the same contest as the bottled and the sparkling, which are a little more glamorous. They get a lot of prestige from winning, and if they actually come, not only do they get a work-related vacation in Berkeley Springs, but they also get to learn and meet and greet experts from all over the various segments of the industry in a very casual environment.
And that's very important for learning from others and learning about best practices, but also I want to add to that, Jeannie, that you have a number of people from around the world that are competing and it's very interesting to hear the dialogue between those from the United States, North America, and other countries. Scott, you have the next question, sir.
Yeah, Jeannie, we now see many municipalities bottling their own water. Why is that?
Well, I think you can trace it back to our friends at the FDA in 1996 made new regulations that said that bottlers, if they called their product spring water, could no longer be bottling municipal supplied water. In Berkeley Springs, the Berkeley Springs Water Company had been bottling the spring water from the municipal system since 1934. All of a sudden they had to change. Well, and I guess that it's really different for every municipality whether they have the capacity to start up their own bottling operation or whether they're just going to sell their water to a local bottler who is then going to bottle it as that new category that the industry invented called purified water.
What do you see as the benefits to the municipal organizations and their customers by being part of your international water tasting competition?
Well, hopefully the fact that we're raising concern about both taste and purity of water is a benefit because everybody starts being more concerned about it. As you know, Scott, when somebody from like a regional association wins or a state association wins, for example, when Ohio wins, a municipality in Ohio wins, suddenly all the other Ohio guys are out there trying to step up their game and improve.
So what you're saying then, Jeannie, is really it's a new benchmark and all the municipals all of a sudden are trying to, in a friendly way, compete with each other and gain the recognition through your international water tasting. But what do you think are some of the best practices, Jeannie, that comes out of these yearly competitions, and how does that really, the sharing between the bottled waters and the municipals, how does that actually improve the quality and the clarity of the water for all customers, regardless of their source of their drinking water?
Well, again, I guess, part of it is sharing techniques, and when somebody from a system, say in New Jersey, meets the folks from LA and finds out that they have special people on their staff who taste every batch of water, every source of water, every day to determine that it's really of the highest quality. Up until the Berkeley Springs water tasting, most of the municipal competitions were within states, within a particular state. So nobody from Tennessee got to compete, even with the guys in Canada. And one of the things we did discover is that we had to invent a new award that was best in the USA, because the Canadian waters were winning every year because they require a different level of regulation than the American waters did.
Well, that's really interesting. I wasn't aware that the Canadians had different regulations, and as we know, if you go to Asia, say Japan or Korea, they have different regulations from those of the European Union. So it is good that they have a chance to mix and mingle. We're just about running out of time. You have about 20 seconds, Jeannie. What do you see for the expansion and growth of the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting Competition over the next 5-10 years?
Well, Sam, my personal mission is to get the 4 states that haven't entered yet in 25 years. So if anybody out there is listening from Rhode Island, South Dakota, Oklahoma, or Nevada, what's wrong with your water that you won't enter?
Well, if you got 46 of the states, and hopefully you have the District of Columbia as well, that's really a big deal. But this is Jeannie Mosier, founder of the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting. Right beside me is Scott Shipe of the American Water Works Association. And thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Too many women get hit by their boyfriends and husbands. Too many women are pressured into having unprotected sex.
Good job there, buddy.
I did okay that time?
You did.
In the world living with AIDS are women. It doesn't have to be this way. Together, we can change this reality. Let's strive for a world free of violence.
At Volunteers of America, we don't just give kids a way to stay off the streets. We give them the tools they need to reach their full potential. We don't just help the elderly receive needed care. We help them live life to the fullest. We don't just provide food for homeless individuals and families. We provide job training and placement so they can buy groceries. Volunteers of America is a national organization that for over 100 years has provided programs and services that allow people to overcome their challenges to become vital members of their community. At Volunteers of America, we don't just help people, we help people help themselves. Find out how you can support the programs that are working in your community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
Drivers face all kinds of distractions.
Guys, stop playing. No. Of 127 consecutive.
Before your wireless phone becomes one of them, stop. Drive safely. Keep your phone in easy reach and dial sensibly. In bad weather or traffic, call later and use a hands-free device. Remember, with wireless, safety is your call.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from America's capital so that we can bring you the latest technologies as well as the best of the best, regardless of where it's from on the planet. And the essence of life, of course, is water. And we have someone who's responsible for that on a day-to-day basis out in Independence, Missouri. This is Karen L. Kelly, the Water Production Manager of the City of Independence in Missouri, the Water Department. And she's coming in by telephone. And then sitting right beside me is J. Scott Shipe, who is the Government Relations Chair of the Chesapeake Section of the American Water Works Association. So welcome, Scott. Glad to have you in the studio with me. And Karen, I understand you're here now by telephone?
Yes, I am.
Glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And you're doing really good work out there. Of course, we know about you through the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting Competition, and we appreciate you being with us.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Well, looking at the City of Independence, tell us a little bit about the Water Department and also your position. What is the Water Production Manager?
Well, the Water Production Manager gets to work with the dedicated staff at the water treatment plant. So we have operators, maintenance, and laboratory staff that provide water to the citizens of Independence and about 250,000 people here in eastern Jackson County.
My goodness. And looking at that, I know that providing good, tasty water is really a complex issue. What are some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis that's very routine, but the average citizen in Independence would have no idea that you're doing, but yet it's the essence of being able to deliver water right to their tap?
Well, we're actually very fortunate here in Independence because we have a wonderful source water. Our water actually comes from an aquifer along the banks of the Missouri River, and that's somewhat unusual for a large supply. We're the largest well water supply here in Missouri. And so we bring the water up from 42 wells that range in depth from 75 to about 135 feet. And the ground does a great job of providing some natural filtration for us. So then we just have to do a few things. We soften the water. We also add chlorine to make sure the water remains free from harmful bacteria. And we use sand filters to make certain the water is clear. And then our dedicated staff keeps everything going 24/7.
You make it sound so simple, but something that's very complex, Karen, and thank you for sharing that. What motivated the City of Independence to enter the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting Competition?
Well, actually, our city manager was looking for a way to showcase the excellent water that we have here in Independence, Missouri, and he found the information about the Berkeley Springs event and encouraged us to submit a sample.
And also a very simple answer, and but also has very profound impacts on what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it. But as you know, we have Scott, who you know well, is sitting right beside me, and we're going to let him ask the next question. Scott?
Hey, Karen, what benefits do you think your water utility and its customers derive from competing in the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting?
Well, we found that this event gives us a great opportunity to talk about water and the wonderful resource that it is. And people here in Independence have always known that we had excellent water, but our awards from the Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting have become a real source of pride for our citizens. When I meet people, it's it's very, very often that they say, hey, did you know we had the second best tasting water in the world? And it's great that they have confidence in us and that's something they remember and they're proud of. And they often tell me how much better our water is than some of their relatives that live in other places. And that's wonderful, too.
Well, that's got to be a source of pride for your own facility and all the employees that are working there, because that's a 24/7, 365. You just don't turn off the tap and go home and not worry about the water throughout the winter months and the hot summer months and all that. So that's a real job that you're doing. Going back to the source of your water, you're talking about you have the largest well system, I guess, in the United States. And so this aquifer, where is that water coming from? And tell us a little bit about the special nature of that.
We're actually the largest well system in the state of Missouri, and it's located on the banks of the Missouri River. It's called the Missouri River Alluvial Aquifer. So actually the aquifer kind of surrounds the river from bluff to bluff, and that's where we pull the water from. And
and you were talking earlier about you really have the soils doing a very good job as a natural filter, but you also talked about the sand filters. Tell us about the difference between the water that's going through the soils and comes to you, and then this special sand filter that you're using. I think you said, was it for clarity?
Yes. The natural filtration provides great filtering, but it doesn't take out all the minerals. So the well water comes to us with a lot of iron, calcium, and magnesium, minerals that don't hurt anything, but we'd like to take them out to make the water softer. And the sand filters are about 3.5 feet of sand and gravel. The water goes in at the top, and as it makes its way down through that sand and gravel, it cleans out any solid material that's with it. So it makes it very clear.
Oh, that's really good to know. How do you protect the quality of your water? Because it seems like that most of the water is between a few down to 100 plus feet, which is in some ways very close to the surface. So how do you protect the quality of your water and make sure that there's no contamination either from natural causes or man-made?
Well, actually, Independence has a wellhead protection plan that is certified by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. And two of the major elements of this plan are our monitoring well network and education. We currently have 68 monitoring wells that are located in 29 different locations, and that surrounds all our wells. And those are sampled and tested on a regular basis by the United States Geological Survey. And those samples provide an early warning network for the water that's entering our well field. And so any possible contamination that might be approaching us would be detected there. And one of our major education efforts involves the 5th grade students here in the Independent School District. Every fall, we invite all the 5th graders from all 19 Independence elementary schools, and they come to the water plant. They see how the water is treated, and we talk to them about the importance of keeping their water supply clean and being responsible stewards of the environment. And each student gets to make their own edible aquifer so they can see how easily contamination could occur. And every fall, we see about 1,000 students.
Oh, that's incredible. You really are a true public educator in all this. And tell us a little bit about the logo that we have here on our screen. I sent you a text message saying I was very impressed with the logo, this drop of water with the city and the water department. Who conceived of that idea? It's very simple, but it's quite elegant.
Well, actually, I believe that was a campaign that the city undertook a few years ago. And because Independence is the Queen City of the Trails, it was where the Santa Fe, the California, and Oregon trails started out west. That's kind of the basis for the covered wagon there in the center.
Yeah, I tell you, it's quite elegant, and actually, thank you for sharing that with me earlier. Scott, you have the next question, sir.
Karen, what steps does Independence take to protect its excellent water source?
Well, that's the wellhead protection plan there, and education is a really big key. We try to get out in the community whenever we can and remind people that since the water is under the ground, anything that they would put on top of the ground could potentially contaminate. And that's the same way with a surface water source. And we really try to emphasize the notion of one water between drinking water and wastewater. We need to really be responsible stewards of this resource. So we like to tell the elementary kids, you might be drinking the water that the dinosaurs drank. And, you know, it's kind of interesting to stop and think about that. A lot of adults don't even really realize that, but it's the only water we have, so we really have to take care of it.
Yeah, that's really important. One of the questions I want to add to this is, as you know, many of the water systems around the United States are quite old, and so the transmission lines are becoming more and more of a problem. Leaking and losing a lot of water that the ratepayers are paying to process, but it's not getting to the home tap. Or there's infiltration into the water lines of surface water. What's being done by the city to ameliorate both of those challenges?
Well, we do take our lost water or unaccounted for water very seriously. So we try to correlate leaks. We try to get on them as quickly as we can. We are doing some replacement of pipes to make sure that if there's a problem area that we can get that replaced and make sure that we continue to provide our best product to the citizens.
That's wonderful. And we got about maybe 15, 20 seconds left. Karen, what do you see for the development and growth of your water system, say, over the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, we are continuing to grow and expand, and so we will hopefully continue to do what we're doing. We will be adopting new technologies as it becomes possible and as it makes sense for us to do.
That's fantastic. This is Karen L. Kelly, who is the Water Production Manager, City of Independence, Missouri Water Department, and Scott Scheidt sitting right next to me. Scott, thank you for being on the Emerald Planet.
Thanks for having
us. Being the special guest.
Thanks.
Thank you for being with us, dear viewers, as we parade and look around the globe for the Emerald